Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we come to you tonight thankful for all of those people around us, near and far. We thank you for the City of Boonville. Continue to watch over us as we make decisions for the best of our citizens and continue to help us do so. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Andrew. Roll call.
Howard?
Yes. Here.
Hurt?
Here.
Gilbert?
Here.
Venable?
Here.
Turner?
Yes.
Stock?
Here.
Young?
Here.
And Meadows? Here.
Hearing of citizens' comments, we will have, come on up and please sign your name in, what ward you're from, and 3 minutes, please.
3 minutes, all right. Well, thank you, Mayor, Council, and Administrator. My name is John Morton, and I'm from the Isle of Capri Casino Hotel in Boonville, the Surveillance Manager and the Philanthropy Chair. I wanted to come tonight and personally invite each and every one of you, your families, and the City of Boonville to attend an event that we are putting on with the American Legion Untitled Post number 52 here in town at the Veterans Memorial on the 17th of September, which is National Pau Maya Recognition Day. So we're going to put on a ceremony. We're going to change down the American flag, the Pau Maya flag, do a short history of Pau Maya, what it is today. We'd really like for the city and your support during this event.
Thank you. Mr. Quinlan, don't forget to sign up, Chair.
Find me a pen. I got it. Jerry Quinlan, I'm in Ward 3. I'd like to talk to you tonight a little bit about the annexation that you're talking about or thinking about. I put in 2 subdivisions here in Boonville, one off of Pendleton and then Grace Lane and Raymond Court. Raymond Court and Grace Lane, when I got finished, it cost so much that I lost my land. So you're talking about a lot of money that's being spent on any subdivision to make Boonville grow. I would like to take and tell you about your land off of Santa Fe Trail, put in outside city limits. Also the land behind Sonic, the subdivision was put in, then brought into city limits. Everybody likes to go out of town and build it where they want to, but then after a while they went in the city limits. So all of Santa Fe Trail, that subdivision was put in outside the city limits. So this is good to come into town. I'm glad we need them. But at the same time, your streets, curbs, guttering, sewers not put into Boonville specification. So the city then takes that up. So that you want to look whenever some of the stuff is being built outside the city limits and people want to be brought in. Now, there's no taxes on that property that's outside the city limits. But all your children go to school here, so we have to furnish them water, sewers, streets, and everything else. We get no city taxes. Then don't, as far as the boat over here, don't depend on the boat for all your money to keep everything going. They can't do it. Boats have left before. This boat's going well. That don't mean someone in Las Vegas say that I can do better in my own hometown. So you want to watch, don't have all your eggs in one basket. Okay, whenever you stop growing, then you're going to regress. So you want to think about moving on. You need tax money. In other words, sewers, water, and everything else costs us more. So if you keep on the same income you have, you're going to go behind. This is a good town. I've been in business for 65 years in real estate business, and it's still a good place to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Next, Gigi.
He wanted to do that on his own, I'm just saying.
and I appreciate him coming in here. Going to be 89 years old in September 22nd, so. Sorry, you probably didn't want me to tell you that.
I think you're giving up secrets here, Judge.
I am so amazed at him, and I'm hoping I'm doing as much as he does for a community at that age too. Along those same lines, I'm Gigi Quinlan McAravey. I'm the economic developer for Cooper County, and I had a conversation with a city councilman this weekend, and he gave me an idea of writing pros and cons down, and I wanted to quickly share them with you. So since I only have 3 minutes, I'll hurry up and read it. So this is pros and cons, incentives, and or amenities for the community of Fox Hollow. Pros, most important, there's a need for housing, and has been for over 4 years, in which 4 years ago the city was notified of these shortages. I was on that committee. There is limited available land inside the current city limits to develop housing within the current boundaries. This land is sandwiched between 2 city-owned properties. It expands the city limits in a direction that the former city council and administration sought to grow and invested thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars with election costs, expansion plans, engineering fees, legal fees, etc. Will allow the opportunity to recoup the $4 to $500,000 cost of running water that you have specified only to a golf course at this point. Will assist in attracting more businesses and industries to bring better jobs to the community. Will increase sales tax revenue with the purchase of some of the construction materials in the community, including concrete, flooring, etc. The development will enhance the ability to attract new corporation companies with a higher supply of housing. It is likely personal property taxes will increase with 2 years in each with 2 cars in each driveway. Real estate tax collection will be higher, which means more income for our schools. Will increase higher probability to attract more commercial development along that 87 I-70 corridor. The cons, I was struggling, but from what I'm hearing, the con is investing in one company. A con, you personally don't like the company from a past personal experience. And this could be a con or a positive, I guess. Spending taxpayer money to invest in what is needed in a community. I mean, that's what tax dollars are for, to invest in your community of things that you need. There is opposition, to which I understand you have had a flood of calls and emails this week. Being city council elected officials is an extremely tough job, and one where decisions are not going to please everyone. The future of the city of Boonville's responsible growth is in your hands. I collected data this weekend over Facebook just to see where all those oppositions were coming, and of the likes, frowns, shared posts, 62% of those folks live in the county of Cooper, Prairie Home, Columbia, or Windsor Village. 16% live in the city limits of Boonville, and 22% I could not determine where they live. I hope this is the last time I'm up here talking about this subject, and I'm sure you wish the same. I just want you guys to invest in our community because you, the city council, had done your homework, and the pros outweigh the cons. Invest not on your personal beliefs or agenda, but on those that are your constituents and businesses in the community who rely on your judgment, and invest in the community's needs based on clear, truthful data. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Gigi. Anyone else? Hello, Kenny. How you do, sir?
I'm good, Ned. How are you doing?
Good.
See if you guys are still talking to me when I get done.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm Ken Herlinger, resident of Ward 3, president of your Industrial Development Authority, president of the Boonville Community Development Corporation, former city council member, and in 1977, I helped form the IDA. That makes me maybe older than Jerry. So I think if I went around and talked to each one of you individually, you would tell me one of the reasons you're on the council is because you want to develop Boonville and see Boonville grow. I don't understand what happens when you guys get together where you forget all about that. Maybe your development brain is left outside sitting on the steps or something. So I'm really sorry, but development is going to happen in this county, in this area. And if you want to keep the doors locked to Boonville, I guess you can. And it's going to surround all the way around. If you've seen cars go down Interstate 70, they make a choice of whether or not they're going to stop in Boonville. If they don't stop in Boonville, that money goes somewhere else. I'm hoping we come down here and see you guys with some unbelievable development deals in industry, but none of those are going to happen without us putting our money on the table. Deals are made for housing. I know each one of you, I admire each one of you, friends with each one of you, but my gosh, when you sit down in that chair, I get really disappointed in you. So here's the deal. If this doesn't go here, it's going to go either in the county or the village of Windsor. And I hope I don't live to see the day when the village of Windsor has a bigger population than Boonville. And if it does, this is probably when it started. Maybe it didn't start here. Maybe it did start a few years ago. There's a big rumor about some land out there getting ready to come to the city, and I don't know if this is happening or not, or whether it's going to happen and be de-annexed. If you have somebody come down here and ask to have their land de-annexed, that's the biggest black eye you can have. That would be like one of my best customers telling me they want me to come and get their equipment. So I hope that doesn't happen, and I'm usually a positive person. Anybody here think I'm positive tonight? I apologize. So this is your last chance. I can tell you as the director of 2 of your boards, if I thought we were going to come down here with some of our stuff and get this, you guys scare the hell out of me. Sorry, guys.
Thank you, Ken. You made it by 12 seconds. Anybody else? All right. Thank you all. Approval of the minutes. The first one we have, do we want separate motions on this?
Yeah,
I
we don't
would think
need
so.
motions on B. We
Okay.
just, they can be, stand as presented, but because we made a motion and we made changes, we need to motion to approve the amended minutes of A.
Okay, did everybody understand that? Okay, item A, amended August 2nd, 2021 council meeting minutes. Thank you, Susan. There's a motion, second. Thank you, Mike. Any questions? Roll call.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Ilbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner, Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
and Meadows.
Yes.
Okay, item B, council meeting minutes from the August 16th, 2021 meeting. Any comments, questions, changes? It's on pages 10 through 14. Is there a motion?
We don't need a motion, just stand as presented.
Stand as presented then. Any objection? No. Okay, good. Item 5, consent items. Item A is consider change order number 1 from in situ form in the amount of $0 for sanitary sewer improvements 2021. That's on page 15. Item B, consider pay request order number 1 from in situ form in the amount of $82,060.20 for sanitary sewer improvements. That's on page 16 and 17. Is there a motion? Thank you, Susan. That's motion 4. Teresa is second. Discussion. Questions?
Are these expenses expected?
I'm sorry, sir?
Yeah, this was one of, in situ form is one we budgeted, so that's one we took bids on.
Okay, great.
Good question. Anybody else? Roll call.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Ilbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner, Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Item 6, presentation of accounts and claims. It's on page 18. Amber?
Be it ordained by the council of the city of Boonville as follows. Section 1, for the purpose of paying salaries and various accounts against the city of Boonville, which have been allowed by the council at the regular meeting thereof, September 7, 2021, the sum of $531,464.02. General fund, $226,071.24. Sanitation, $63,081.33. CIP tax, $6,482.69. Waterworks, $151,505.69. Capital project, $0.00. Wastewater, $52,071.25. Tourism, $9,386.94. Gaming, $7,697.00. Parks and Water, $8,821.45. Kemper sales tax, $6,346.43. And economic development projects, $0.00. Section 2, the accountant is hereby authorized and instructed to draw checks on their respective city bank accounts in favor of the persons whose salaries and accounts have been allowed as above, amounting to $531,464.02, being the total amount of money being appropriated. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. First reading on September 7th, 2021. Reading for the second time this September 7th, 2021, since a copy was made available prior to the meeting.
Second reading, title only.
Ordinance appropriating money.
Mayor, I move that we approve these appropriations.
Thank you, Susan. Second? Thank you, Whitney. Discussion? Roll call.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Elbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
and Meadows.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7, unfinished business. Item A, second reading of bill number 2021-024, approving final site plan for Boone Point Plat 1.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri approving the final site plan for Boone Point subdivision, Phase 1, located on Ashley Road adjacent to Rolling Hills Park.
Motion?
Mayor, make a motion this be approved.
Thanks, Whitney. Second? Andrew, appreciate it. Questions, comments? Roll call.
Cowherd,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Elbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Meadows.
Yes.
Item 8, new business. A, consider resolution R 2021-11, authorizing and approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Prairie Home and the City of Boonville to perform building inspection services by the Boonville Building Inspector. It's on page 19 through 22.
A resolution of the City of Boonville, Missouri, authorizing and approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Prairie Home, Missouri, and the City of Boonville, Missouri, to perform building inspection services by the Boonville Building Inspector, and providing an effective date therefor. Whereas the City of Prairie Home and Cooper County has adopted dangerous building and public nuisance ordinances in order to provide for competent inspections and due process notice procedures, and whereas the City of Prairie Home does not have the need for a on-staff building inspector and has asked the City of Boonville to provide building inspector services on an as-needed basis under the terms and conditions of the attached intergovernmental agreement, and whereas the Boonville Building Inspector believes that this service can be scheduled in such a way and is not too numerous so as to be easily accommodated during the normal business day, and whereas the City Council of Boonville, Missouri believes that this is an opportunity to share expertise to another community in Cooper County without any undue burden on the citizens of Boonville or city staff. Therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri shall approve and authorize an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Prairie Home, Missouri for limited building inspection services as set forth in Exhibit A, attached hereto and made a part hereof as fully as if set forth herein verbatim. Section 2, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized to execute and attest said contract on behalf of the City of Boonville. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage and approval, passed this 7th day of September 2021 by the City Council of Boonville, Missouri.
Mayor,
Yes, sir, Whitney.
I make a motion that we approve this resolution.
Thank you, Whitney. Mike is the second. Questions, comments?
Question here.
Albert.
What has the town of Prairie Home, what have they done in the past in terms of building inspection? Why is that need come about now?
They use Steve, so they do a dangerous building hearing every,
So this is nothing new?
no.
We
We
do it
we already,
every
this
year?
is a renewal, well, there's a go for 2 years, so we had one that went from 19 to 21. This is 21 to 23.
Okay.
So Steve said he's done 3 dangerous building where he does the inspection and the notes and then goes to their council to help them kind of do the same thing that we do.
Okay. In section 1, it talks about, use the term amended, Missouri for limited building inspection. What does that mean?
It just means that it's only for dangerous buildings. So if you remember in the past, he's done Hyla Grove, where he's done building inspection services to do new building inspections. This is the dangerous building process.
We've done this for Blackwater, for the city of Blackwater also.
Anything else, Albert?
Thank you.
No? Anybody else? Roll call.
Coward?
Yes.
Hurt?
Yes.
Gilbert?
Yes.
Zennable?
Yes.
Turner?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Young?
Yes.
And Meadows.
Yes.
Item B, consider resolution R 2021-12, authorizing and approving contracts.
That should be in the park.
See where it was, by and between the City of Boonville and Central Missouri Glass, and more for door repairs, and SportsCon for basketball goal purchases, and installation pertaining to the Johnson Fieldhouse renovations. This is on page 23 and 24.
A resolution of the City of Boonville, Missouri authorizing and approving contracts by and between the City of Boonville, Missouri and Central Missouri Glass and More LLC for door repairs and SportsCon for basketball goal purchase and installation pertaining to Johnson Fieldhouse renovations at FT Kemper Park and providing an effective date therefor. Whereas the City of Boonville has solicited and received bids for performance of door repairs and basketball goal purchase and installation. Work involved in the renovations of Johnson Fieldhouse on FT Kemper Park, and determined that Central Missouri Glass and More LLC and SportsCon have offered the best bids for their respective specialties pursuant to the purchasing code set forth in section 2-20 of the City of Boonville Code of Ordinances. Therefore, it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Boonville, Missouri as follows. Section 1, that the bid submitted by Central Missouri Glass and More LLC and SportsCon to the City of Boonville, Missouri for the package of goods and services necessary and appropriate for Johnson Fieldhouse renovation are the lowest and best, a copy of which is marked Exhibit A is attached hereto and made a part hereof, is hereby approved. Section 2, that the city administrator and the city clerk are hereby authorized to execute and attest said agreement on behalf of the City of Boonville. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage and approval. Passed this 7th day of September 2021 by the City Council of Boonville, Missouri.
Motion? Okay, you want the second?
Yeah, I'll just second.
Okay, Susan got the first, Teresa got the second. Thank you. Questions, comments? Go, Albert.
Question on this. I thought we voted in a tax increase just a while back to handle these kinds of expenses. Why this?
Why do we have to have the resolution?
What's that?
Why do we have to have the resolution
Yes.
having approved, right?
Yes.
This is like approving the contract individually.
You're asking where the money's coming from.
Right.
Yes, the money is coming from the Kemper sales tax, but every project that we put out to bid, as a council, you guys have to vote to approve that contract with them. So we did it with Instituforn, Freck Paving, Rad A. Baker, someone else this year on our sewer improvement. So every time we do a contract that we bid, it comes before the council body to vote on the contract.
Oh, thank you for the clarification. The other thing I had here is, I find these, this bid sheet, this here, a little bit confusing. I see where Central Missouri Glass placed a bid for the door and for the windows, but nothing on the lights. Is that an
Yeah.
oversight, or is that?
No, so, the bid package we put out, as you can see, it had A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H portions.
Right.
We could have had a general contractor bid out the whole portion, and then they would have subbed out whatever they didn't do. That first bid, GBH Builders could have been that general contractor. They obviously, you can tell, did not bid on anything else except for the restrooms, which is bid A, and the gym lights, which is bid F. So then the other ones down below are people who have specialties. So Central Missouri Glass, they specialize in doing the doors. They can do the windows. Obviously, SportsCon does the gold. The reason we're not taking the Central Missouri Glass bid on windows right now is that we think they were a little bit high, and so we're gonna wait and rebid. Similar with the restrooms, frankly, we didn't think they were. And the lights also, we're gonna look at kind of a revamping of that potentially.
Barry?
I got a question. I mean, if somebody buys a membership at the YMCA in Boonville, can they go to a YMCA anywhere, or just only to that YMCA?
I don't know.
You can go to any Y.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Good question. You're a member everywhere then.
I'm sorry.
You're a member everywhere.
Okay.
Anybody else?
On the
Andrew.
bottom line, the Septagon budget, where did that originate from? Is that a bid proposal at the very bottom, Septagon budget?
Nope.
1821?
So
What is that?
Septagon is our construction management firm that's doing the work
That's-
for us.
That's their estimate for what they
That
think
was
the
what
work
their
would be.
estimate was. Mhm.
So that's our baseline essentially.
Right, and just on the bathrooms, I think he kind of talked about that we're gonna pull that out and redo it with the main floor. We thought we might get some better bids. And then obviously, we just didn't get anything on lobbying or the lobbies and the paint, so. This wasn't a very good bid, frankly, all around.
Any other questions?
Are the late bids accepted by Imhoff?
We did not accept them, we just included them so you could see them.
Okay.
We could, at some point in time, if we wanted to, go back on some of those, the lobby or the paint, if we wanted to, things that didn't have a bid number, but we chose not to at this time.
Roll call.
Howard,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
I recuse my vote on this.
Young,
Yes.
and Meadows.
Yes.
Item C, first reading of bill number 2021-025, approving the rezoning application of the Kemper project.
An ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri approving the rezoning application of Kemper project located on Ashley Road and Kemper Street adjacent to Kemper Village subdivision.
Item D, first reading of bill number 2021-026, approving the Kemper project and preliminary site plan.
An ordinance ordinance of the City of Boonville, Missouri approving the Kemper project and preliminary site plan located at Ashley Road and Kemper Drive adjacent to Kemper Village.
Thank you, Amber. Item E, discussion of Robinson outdoor proposal. It's on pages 56 through 59.
Okay, the representatives from Robinson are here tonight, and I'm actually going to turn over the conversation to them. They approached Steve initially and myself probably 3 or 4 months ago, looking to do some signage, and in the course of conversation, they asked us if we would be interested in sort of maybe trading some of our land that we own by the soccer fields for a billboard sign in exchange for a LED sign that we could then use at the soccer field. So if you remember, we've been talking about that we needed to do a monument sign. I thought it was worthy of them coming to talk with you. And they sent obviously the easement bid, the contract, and all the other documents. I'm not asking for approval tonight. Really, we're just introducing these guys and then kind of seeing what you guys think about the proposal that they're offering. And with that, I'll turn it over.
Thanks for having us out here. I'm Wes Bell. I'm the general manager of Robinson Outdoor. Danny Marler, he's my project manager. We have been building these digital billboards for the last 3 years in rural markets. Normally you'll see these digital billboards in St. Louis, Columbia, Kansas City. Those are the ones that you see on the interstate. They're really big, 1448. That's not what we're proposing here in the town of Boonville. This would be more of a 14 by 28, so it's not as long as an interstate board. A little background about myself and Danny. We got about a combined 40 years in law enforcement, and we stepped away and went on board with our owner, and we brought a little something to our company that the cities really enjoy, which is, one, we understand the safety, so we've implemented a tornado warning with our board, so we're connected with the National Weather Service. So whenever there's a tornado warning that comes to Boonville, all of the advertisement will stop. Tornado warning will come up to notify all the citizens to take shelter. The other thing is we like to work very well with law enforcement. So we have ads that are kind of pre-made and for missing adults from nursing homes, runaways, really anything that you need help looking for, we're there to help. What's the other feature? We have a lot of features. But we'd like to be part of the city and work well with you guys. So in turn, we got to talking with Kate and Steve, and they had brought up a sign that you guys were maybe talking about putting out by the soccer complex. That's also a great location for a billboard. So we put together a drawing. The owner of our company also owns a stone business. So as you see, that board on that wall is a 5-foot by 9-foot long digital, super clear. It's not going to be one of these grainy little signs that you see some places and you can't hardly see what it says. It's going to be nice and clear. And the stonework is natural building stone. It's not the fake stuff, it's the good stuff. But it's about $100,000 to do that project for you guys. And what we're asking in turn is for a permanent location that we can erect our billboard near the soccer park. So you guys have any questions that you guys want to throw at me? This is also the business owners absolutely love when we come into town because it is a new way to advertise rather than the traditional old way of using paper or mail or anything like that. So we're bringing out a new dynamic way to advertise, and as well as you get to advertise in our other locations. So you're just not here in Boonville, but wherever we build at. We have a location going in Marshall, Missouri, and I know that's nearby, that's why I said that. And so, for example, you can rotate your ads between Boonville and Marshall. So you can reach out to Marshall and bring customers in by also advertising on that board. So wherever we go, customers can go. So it's a very unique way, and most billboard companies, we're probably very unique when it comes to that.
The static displays that are out on the interstate, they say nothing to the community, nothing at all. One thing that Wes did mention as well is anytime we have free space on our boards, we allow Kate to make decisions for the city. If there's something on there, if you guys have a town event, some special event that's coming up. I know our Wentzville sign, we had I'm a Marine too, okay? And one of my brothers in Afghanistan was killed from Wentzville. We donated our sign to the family.
So they were able to, we have a big ad. He's also running in St. Louis. The ad is, so we're really more part of the community. Once we're in here, we want to work with you guys to help you guys, but also be there for the business owners to advertise. I mean, that's also a big part of it as well.
Jerry hit it pretty hard on the head a while ago about bringing more into the community. That's what we're here for. That's what we're trying to help establish. Because with the range of locations that we are growing to, we'll be able to pull people from other communities, Columbia, Rolla, you name it. The list is inevitable to get more people into your community and spend their money.
Well, and this billboard is also a 13.3 millimeter resolution billboard, which is the clearest in the state. So there is no moving parts. There's no moving ads, no motion. It's not allowed by MoDOT. So we follow all of MoDOT's guidelines, but we also have to follow the city's guidelines. So we're asking for, we'll build you this beautiful sign. If you guys can give us a site to build our billboard, and it'd be a nice addition to this town.
How big is the billboard on the interstate?
The billboards on the interstate, those are normally 14 foot by 48 feet.
Okay.
This would be a 14 by 28.
Okay.
Okay, good question. Anybody else?
Our poles are very clean too, just so you know. Our owner, he really specifies on safety and he goes above and beyond on construction costs. He don't care what it costs to make it perfect. That's what he spends. Most billboard signs are rated for 120 mile per hour winds. Ours are test rated at 160 miles an hour. So he's going to go above and beyond. Another thing, I've seen a couple digital billboards on the way in here today, and I've seen a lot of little units sitting around it, cooling fans and different things like that. Ours is not like that. Everything's consolidated onto that one pole. And it's 36 inches in diameter on general consensus, and everything's attached to the top. You won't see anything else but the pole in the ground. So
Good.
we thank you for your time.
Anything else, guys and gals? Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Do we want to, do you want me to keep, they want
Do I
us
need
to
to
keep
sign
working
in?
on it? No, that's okay.
Nope, okay.
Do we want to keep working on this proposal?
Yes. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's very intriguing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thought I saw some heads going up and down.
Yeah.
Well,
Wanted some verbal.
Okay, item F, discussion of the Fox Hollow proposal. Go ahead, Susan.
I move that we hold an open discussion on this proposal.
Okay, that's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Steve, we do this motion so that we can now talk about it openly as opposed to doing the closed session, okay? Roll call. Want to do it by hands?
Cowherd,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner. Stop. Young
Yes.
and Meadow.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right. Purpose is to talk about this in the open, so I don't want there to be any question about that. We've discussed for quite some time in closed session, so now we're going to move the discussion to open session, and then we move to yeses and nos.
Okay.
Yes.
That was my question, is what's the process around this now?
I think the process is that we now talk about, yeah, about who's in favor and why, who's not in favor and why. And if somebody wants to go, go. If you want to stay, Steve wants to go. Go, Steve.
I got just a little problem. When we talked about the purchase price of the 15 acres, we were basically looking at that like there's no road to it, there's no utilities to it, nothing to it. We're looking at a piece of farmland. So I thought, you know, if we're looking at $20,000 an acre, I mean, when you look at a market value, to get that kind of land for $20,000 an acre, you'd end up in Iowa somewhere. So I don't understand why this says, which is substantially less than fair market value. That just bothers me. And then over here on the other page, it says, finance a portion of the below market value purchase price. So I almost want to see some kind of appraisal, because I thought we were bidding up a decent price. But why this is even in there, I don't understand.
Okay, good question. Is Robert here?
No, but Megan and Christy are back there, so if
Okay.
anyone has specific questions for them,
Megan,
I'm
do you
sure they'll
mind?
answer.
Yeah, why, yeah, I'd like to know what the fair market value is.
Thank you, Megan.
You're welcome.
For-
Megan McGuire,
Very good.
working with the Thurmans on this project. And I think that one of the issues that was discussed probably fairly early on was when you look at the site plan, that there were 30 to 35 homes in that area of the 15 acres. So if you look at a market price of the developer, if you will, giving up those 30 to 35 homes, 35 lots at $40,000 a lot is $1.4 million. So that's kind of one of the discussion items that was here, that to try to make up for that difference in value of being able to sell those lots versus a parkland.
But you have a lot less cost in those lots. Like right now, whatever they paid for that land is what, the value may be a little more than that. So I felt that we offered a decent price.
That was
Because
at least the
there's
thinking,
no-
right?
There's no, nothing's been developed, so you don't have $30,000 in those lots.
But there is an opportunity cost. That's part of that valuation.
I don't know. Didn't somebody say this land wasn't even, it's by the airport, so it probably wouldn't have been built on anyway? Was there something?
It was planned to be in their preliminary plan.
Well, I just feel that that's undeveloped, and it's just farmland right now. If there's no road to it, no, you know, it'd be worth a lot more if there was a road to it, there was sewage to it, and water to it. But, I mean, I thought we kind of came to a deal, so I don't understand this market value stuff. I mean, if you did a
Fair enough.
market value, if you had it appraised today, how much would that acre?
I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to, make those,
Okay,
make
well,
that recommendation.
that just kind of bothered me.
Okay, good question.
Thank you.
Andrew?
So one thing I would like to see, or at least have estimates around it, the only number mentioned, and maybe this is something we can work with them on, so maybe it's not Ms. McGuire's obligation, but the only dollar amount that I see is the $300,000 sale price. So if you look at the other investments that the city would be required to make, design and construct the city street and water lines through a portion of the site, so that's obviously a substantial investment. Street and water lines constructed slightly north of Phase 1 by 2022. Street and water lines constructed to the park by, again, late 2022. And then design and construct all the sewer improvements. So there is a massively substantial investment by the city to make these things happen. And so I would like to see if we could work together to get those funds or estimates of those expenses included in this document.
Okay.
I think that would help.
Yeah, and I think just to clarify, we wanted to get something on the table to start the conversation, and then we'll proceed onward towards a formal, I think we're still calling it a development agreement, which will have really a lot more stuff laid out. But we felt like the time was now to have this sort of table-setting conversation we're at today.
So, Kate, how long has this been going on, this Thurman project? Y'all been talking about it?
A year? 18 months? 18 months.
I mean, it's taken 18 months to get to this far. How come we just can't go ahead and finish it out and either vote yes or no? You know what I mean?
Well,
Because move on to something else. Just, you know, just get it done.
Well, I want to say the first go-around, they went through a different tactic. If you, maybe it was before you were on council with the TIF. So there was a lot of work we as a city had to do to even entertain the conversation of the TIF. We had to create guidelines and, you know, an ordinance enabling a committee to exist. And so we were doing a lot of that work. And at some point in time, it was clear that council at that time was not interested in entertaining the TIF. So we kind of took a pause and reset the table, and this is kind of what you're seeing as the reset that we've had with the Thurmans.
Well, I was just thinking, Mr. Thurman lost out a lot of money if he didn't do it last year because the market was high then. You know what I mean? Now it could be bobbing out and he might lose money. You know, I'm just that's, you know.
your lumber prices are good still.
I think to an answer specifically to your yes or no question, we're not really at a yes or no. That formal yes or no will come with the development agreement, the annexation, the preliminary plans, all the things that you have currently on the table when we change tactics. So I think tonight we wanted an indication of, again, whether or not as a council you want us to continue working with the formal steps that then would show up on your future council agendas to vote
Are we
on.
gonna take another 18 months before we decide again?
It would depend on you guys really, but I mean, I think it could be shorter. I think we could probably do it between now and I'll say November, probably, you know, just, and that's because things require 2 readings. And
So November, we're gonna have a either yes or no vote.
That's what we're working toward.
that's what we're
But I
working
mean,
towards.
yeah, I think we just ought to just give a yes or no vote because we have a lot of people call up and says, some say yeah, vote on it, some says no, vote on it. And, you know, I mean, people talking about this Thurman project and what are you gonna do or how you gonna feel, you know, which way you gonna vote on this thing. I just think that the citizens just need to either up or down vote and stop worrying about this Thurman project and move on.
Yeah, and I think one thing I'll say too is that we always have a process, and our process is not always fast, but we try to do all of the right things to make sure when you guys come to a decision and you vote on something that we've made sure it's appropriate, it's legal, and all those sort of things. So this is one of those things we kind of have started, I don't want to say over, but started with a new picture, and so now we're kind of back to square one, but we do have a plan for it to be
So we can
sort of
say
at the
in
next
November,
council.
we're gonna come back and give it up or down vote by November.
Even before then, there'll be some other votes along the way, but yeah.
All right.
Question.
Good one. Whitney?
When we normally annex property, what is kind of our ordinance or our normal responsibility on water and sewer?
That you would provide water and sewer up to the property line.
So, kind of like Andrew was talking, I see we have the sewer line going up to the middle of it. I see we have the road and the water line going up through there. Do you know approximately how many extra feet of each one of those there are versus what we would commonly do for someone else annexing property?
The water line is, I think, around 2,500. I didn't bring those notes and I should have. It's about 2,500 feet of water. The sewer, this first line that you would see, we would do anyways, and probably this is a future phase. We would do all the way up to there. And I'm not sure, I apologize, I don't have that line from the property to the park. The idea was that we would be basically putting in all the utilities to our property.
And I'm assuming since the water line's 2,500 feet, that would be the length of the street as well.
Yep.
So you're going to go from here to here. You're
Yes.
going to go from here to here.
Yes,
Okay. And then Mr. Thurman's going to be responsible for everything else.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Steve?
Quick question. Has the city looked at these deadlines, and are we sure we can?
We are meeting with engineers tomorrow, pending, again, that you guys are wanting to move forward with the project. So the way we have done this to try to meet some of the requests that they've made is that Scott is going to do everything outside of the Thurman property, and then as a city, we would engage with Crockett, who has already designed the subdivision, and so they already know the lay of the land, so they will do the work inside the Thurman property for us. And we've done that before where we've split engineers, and so both Scott and Tim and myself are sitting down tomorrow to kind of have a conversation about meeting these deadlines. I'm not sure it totally showed up, but the strongest deadlines in that March are just to sort of this, where it says Phase 1 Water and Street Item 3A. That would be the first phase, and I think those are primarily the March deadlines that.
So is there a contractor that will do the street already?
We would have to put it out for bid.
You'd have to put that.
So are we going to do the streets first, or is Thurman going to start building his houses first?
Well, I'll let Megan, I think kind of simultaneously, but I'll let her chime in too.
Right, I think as you read on Robert's letter, you'll see that the developer is doing in the rough-in, so that'll kind of come first with the grading plan, that process. And then as the street and water gets done, he'll be, kind of concurrently working to do the grading within the Phase 1. So it'll be hand in hand. It'll be a lot of coordination in terms of those areas, but there will be some grading going on in the residential phases, as well as the streets. And obviously, there's a process that Steve Haig and Scott Vogler will work through as to when things get finished, when they get inspected, and when they get dedicated back to the city as that process goes forward.
So are you going to start out there by the, excuse me, ma'am, are you going to start out there by the golf course first and go that way?
As you look at your map, okay, to get oriented, this is Pierre Lane. So when you come up through Pierre Lane, that first area is designated the commercial section. And then the first area that we'll start on will be right here.
So that's Phase 1.
That's Phase 1.
Okay.
Phase 1. And that'll all be shown on the preliminary site plan and so forth as it comes back through planning and zoning. And then that originally was designated as multifamily, and we're kind of switching that so that that's part of the single family, and the multifamily area will be closer up to the park. So,
Okay.
that's how it will be phased through.
So how long would it take Phase 1 to get started and done? Depending on what we pass.
Right. I think that Mr. Thurman is hoping that we can actually start grading the project this fall, so you can be prepared to work through the streets and start building homes, spring of next year.
Question? Albert?
One of the things that catches my ear is this landlocked. Several of you have talked about landlocked, but we don't really flush it out. Now, I know how we lock going north, but can somebody talk more about why we're saying Boonville is in a landlocked position? In other words, we can't move any other direction other than east. Several of you have mentioned that.
Is that something you'd like me to address, Kate, or would you?
You can start, because you
Okay.
have certainly dealt with some of that in your
Right,
past,
well,
and we can
I mean,
update
yes,
us.
in my former years here as the city planner and city attorney, as you know, Boonville has always grown out the three highways to the interstate. And so Highway 5 is developed, Route B is primarily developed, and so over the last almost 25 years, the city councils have always had their eye on Highway 87. And over time, it became clear that there was some competition, there was some need, particularly what is going on in Columbia for their housing market and so forth. A lot of people work in Columbia and love to live in Boonville, so it became evident to the councils in the past that Highway 87 was the place to grow. And I'm sure you recall the process that went through. I mean, we went through an involuntary annexation process, a voluntary annexation process to try to get the community to the point where they felt comfortable enough and actually voted for that annexation. And there was a very extensive plan of intent that was provided as part of that process, which showed a combination of commercial and housing on that area, but primarily developed for housing, because we already have, kind of an industrial corridor along Highway 5, a more commercial corridor around Highway B. And so that had always kind of been their plan and their intent. And so when somebody says, where else can you grow? Well, you're not going to grow into Howard County and over the river, okay? There is some ability to grow further west and east, but it's primarily going to be south. And so, though it's not just as easy to look at what's needed for the citizens of Boonville and the housing and the commercial, you also have to look at what's happening in the county. Because every time you move into the county, you're butting up against fire districts, water districts, and other people who have been there already because they needed to service those populations. So Highway 87 was the corridor. It's the remaining corridor to develop because it is primarily in the city. And now that the city has accomplished, the golf course and has had the airport there for some time, it makes it eminently important for the city to have that land now that the Gross Brothers property sold. That was not originally part of the big picture plan of intent, because that was a very large section of land, been family held for several generations, and was not clear as to whether or not. So that's kind of a bonus area. And so that definitely fits within the additional plan of intent that was there. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
I would also just add that I think, obviously, competitively, when you look at where growth is going, that's going to pull people. Columbia is growing, that area, Jefferson City is growing. So growing towards those communities makes sense in terms of attracting new residents.
Good.
Thank
Good.
you.
All right, so the question is to move on to the estimates, correct?
I'm sorry, you're talking about estimates for what?
To put numbers next to these accomplishments.
Yeah, I mean, that would be one thing that I would want to see in the document is numbers to what are we, to Barry's point, I would like to get to yes or no, but I would also like to know what it is that we're really committing to.
Committing to now or long-term, or both?
Well, I mean, it's going to be long-term if you commit to this. This is not a short-term commitment by any means.
No, it's, 60 days?
We've been at this, 18 months? And we don't have the numbers, we don't have a rough estimate?
That's correct.
I believe they were intentionally left out.
We do have rough estimates, so.
Of the street?
Do you
Yes,
want
they
more?
were.
Oh, no, that's not what Barry was asking for. He was asking for the real estimates. If you want the
rough estimates, yeah, so 160, and this is everything all the way to the park, so it's not split, and that's probably something that Scott and Tim can help me with, kind of splitting what it would be up to the property line versus the full, but 160, 130, and then about, I think we said 550 roughly for the road to 600.
550 for the road. What's 130, the water line?
Water line, and sewer was 160. And that does not include, as we've previously discussed, the lowering of the lift station and the evaluation of those things. That's also on Scott's plate soon. Hopefully we don't. That does not include the buyout, no. The buyout, the initial suggestion was 240 from the water district on the buyout.
Is
Hey,
that some-
so, go ahead, Steve.
is that something that had to be done anyway?
If you are to annex this area, you
It has
have
to
to
be
buy out the water district. You don't have an
240
option.
buyout.
Yeah. Good question, Steve.
And I have not, also, I just want to be honest, I haven't circled back to the water district just because things have been so fluid. So to be fair, I'll need to bring them back into the conversation, and those numbers are from them were probably 12 months ago now, so.
Do we have the capability for our workers to do some of this work?
We do, so that's part of it too, is that we would look at using city staff to run some of the sewer and water lines. We just have to be mindful of the deadlines and be respectful that we can meet those deadlines with our staff, which is a little bit more challenging when there's not lots of us, but there is definitely parts that we can do.
So how many lift stations do we have to work on? I see a
One
lot.
lift station,
Just one,
16 manholes,
one lift.
and then the 2,300 or 2,500, and I didn't bring those notes and I apologize, 2,500 roughly feet of line
So
for
is that
sewer.
one lift station for what we have to do up by the park, but we're still working on a lift
So
station down below?
No, there's just the one lift station that was put in with,
That lift station was designed a long time ago, the force main's already put in for the development out there, not particularly this development, but for the development of that whole area. And there's a question whether that lift station is adequate at the present time in the form of the depth of the lift station in order to meet the grades that are presented in this particular development, and that's what we're gonna have to look at.
Okay, but just one lift.
One lift.
one
Okay,
lift
okay.
station,
Thank you. One.
yes.
So the question is, do we want to invest $1 to $1.2 million in this project? With that said, I've got some questions. Have we found money to help with where our workers store their lawnmowers, that it rains in on them, there's no bathrooms or anything?
Yeah, we have a different strategy on that. That's part of the next year's budget
Because
planning.
before we spend money on these other things, I think there's some things like that need to be taken care of. Even you look outside this building and the paint's coming off of it,
Yeah,
and we're looking at spending $1 million or $1.2 million here instead of taking care of our own buildings and places.
yep.
I like to see a plan in place there.
And this is a now.
So somebody can put together somewhere, something that would tell us where the money's gonna come from to pay for this.
Correct.
Motion to go forward. Teresa,
A motion that we go forward.
thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Barry. Further discussion?
Could we, maybe Ms. McGuire, you could comment on this. Can you comment on the benefits to the developer of the city, of being in the city limits? So we talked about the corridor, proximity to Columbia. That all sounds like high demand of homes, a successful development, most likely,
Right?
plus 1.5-ish million from the city to make it work. Can you talk about the benefits to the developer, to the homeowners of being in city limits?
Well, I think the obvious ones are that you're not on a septic system, your individual sewer system, you're on a municipal system. That's very beneficial, ongoing, perpetually, both for health and safety as well as the individual. Being within the city limits, I think that you have the opportunity to garner a faster turnaround time in terms of selling your homes. You've got that opportunity. You're working with an area where now it's going to be within the city limits, and you have access to a 15-acre park, which is going to be in a beautiful section there. You're going to be bordered by two facilities that are maintained, a gorgeous golf course, as well as a very well-maintained and kept-up airport. So you've got all kind of the amenities that you would normally have within those city limits. But the primary, the biggest benefit that you get from being in the city is sewer, and the opportunity to be part of that community being in the city limits of Boonville.
Police protection,
All
fire
of those
protection,
things that go in, yep,
fire hydrants,
yep,
snow removal.
yes.
Jobs, revenue.
Real life storm training.
Storm drain.
Yeah, you're developing
That's all
this under the
designed in.
standards, okay? All of those standards come from the requirements of
But we
being
don't
in the
do that.
city
She's talking
versus
about the
developing
language of the
in the
development.
county.
And the county water system isn't adequate to handle this kind of density and does not provide fire flow protection. which is plus
That's a
for
huge
homeowners.
benefit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
The insurance goes down.
Insurance, big time.
Yep.
Go ahead, you look like you're.
I was just thinking, Gigi, as a former appraiser, what would the house appraised difference be, city limits versus out in the,
We don't differentiate between the county.
well, how
and the
about a
city.
septic versus municipal?
You know what, if that septic is working, that is accepted with the market.
So they would be
So, but the big
equal,
difference
is that what you're
is,
saying?
you're gonna have control over the building that's being built there, you're gonna have control with zoning. You put it in the county, you lose all those controls. So, you could have a development, that has 100 chickens in it, and you can't control that if it's in the county.
I understand that. I was asking the home values.
The
Are they
home
the
values,
same?
we do not differentiate, as long as there's a working septic system. If there is not one, that's when there's a problem with the value.
Well, that comes with the market. Anyway, Whitney.
I just want to say, so the plan is pending the outcome of this vote. As I said, the engineers and I are meeting tomorrow, again, assuming that we are moving forward. The Thurmans and Megan and Tim are working on a revised plan to bring to planning and zoning, which is next week. I think that's our plan. Maybe we might end up having to have a meeting a little bit later, but they will come back to planning and zoning, bring the revamp plan. So at that time, what would happen is that at a council, we would bring the revamp plan to you guys with the timeline of the rest of the votes that need to happen. You put annexation and the preliminary plan on the table, so it will just be taking it off of the table, and it will probably do, it was already up for the second reading, so it'll probably be a third and possibly a fourth. Well, that's the one we're kind of timing it with, and it will coincide with the finalization of the development agreement. So there is sort of a tentative plan moving forward. It depends on us getting development agreements and engineers and everything falling into place, and that's why I gave that time frame of November as sort of the vote. And potentially you may even see, depending on how it goes, a final site plan on that phase one at that, right in that November timeframe as well.
Any more questions? Steve?
So we'll have several meetings here again where people can come and
Yes.
voice their
Yep.
opinions. or-
And likely, we will probably call a public hearing on it.
Yes.
Again, a dedicated public hearing to provide opportunity for people to offer their opinions. That, I don't have a date yet, we'll build that into the timeframe.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to go forward. Any more questions? Roll call.
Calvert,
Yes, I'll vote to push forward.
Hurt,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Venable,
No.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
and Meadows.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Reports of standing committee. Street, alley, and sanitation, page 63. Any questions for Jeff?
I did not make the meeting, Ned, but,
I saw that, Steve.
but I talked to Jeff.
Oh, that's the best thing you can do.
And they, the problem we're having down here on 7th Street, they did discuss that, and they are discussing it.
Yes.
just. so
I think
everybody's
Jeff has been
information.
out and talked to some of the public too, so.
Yes. So they're working on that.
Good. Thanks, Steve. Okay, Board of Public Works got canceled. It's because Jeff was out on the road talking to people about streets and alleys. Okay, bad joke. Item 10, reports of city officials. City administrator?
Just a couple comments and then we'll bring Scott up. One, I just wanted to, Andrew, you had asked about Instituform. Instituform is probably the most effective and most affordable means of dealing with inflow and infiltration. So if you remember when Bernita came to talk about and the lift station gets flooded and our manholes, the Instituform stops that because it lines the pipes. So if there's cracks or root intrusions, it stops them. So I think last year we had you guys do a significant investigation of the one main branch where we thought we had significant I&I, and this was the first bite. So I just want to say that Instituform is really important. It's something we need to continue to dedicate. And in fact, one of our sales taxes that we have, the Parks and Stormwater sales tax, is used to help do some of these projects. So that, and then I just wanted to give you guys a quick update from the August 2nd meeting. The city did receive its first tranche, as they're calling it, of the ARPA, which is the American Rescue Plan Act funds. The estimate from the National League of Cities was a little bit low, so we actually got in $855,000. It's currently sitting in our account. It will most likely be earmarked for water and sewer improvements because that's pretty clear, and we have quite a water project running out to the golf course anyway. So the other $855,000 will come in 12 months. And with that, I'll turn it over to Scott.
All right, good evening.
Hi, Scott.
Do a quick introduction of myself. My name is Scott Vogler. I'm a registered professional engineer. I am president of MECO Engineering. I graduated in 1982. That puts me at 39 years of doing this work. 19 years with the City of Boonville as the point of contact for your work. MECO Engineering is a multi-service civil engineering firm. You got in your packet a little pamphlet of kind of what we do. Civil site planning. We've done a lot of site planning for the city, parking lots and so forth, structural engineering, retaining walls and so forth, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. We've done the HVAC system, I believe, in this building here. As well as some other lighting and road lighting and so forth. We do a lot of land surveying for the city, easements and so forth. Wastewater. We deal with water treatment, wastewater treatment. We did the wastewater treatment plant, the overflow basin out there. Under your water treatment, we did additional disinfection to meet DNR requirements out at your water treatment plant, plus assisted with your permits and applications and your all your wastewater treatment projects and water treatment projects. Stormwater, we do a lot of stormwater in town. We're working right now on your FEMA projects. We've done a lot of roads, bridges, concrete, asphalt, brick streets. On your enhancement projects, we've done antique lighting and sidewalks for the community. A lot of pocket parks we worked on. We also do AutoCAD and GIS mapping. We handle all your mapping, your water, your sewer, so forth and so on. We are the city engineer, like I said. Also the city engineer for Eldon, Fayette, Ashland, Higbee, Pilot Grove, Winfield. We are on the toolbox for the university. We're one of 5 engineering firms that the university uses as pre-qualified. So as far as MECO Engineering, we've got 40 employees, 10 PEs. We've got an office in Jefferson City, one in Hannibal. We just opened an office a couple years ago in Branson. We have an office in Pittsfield, Illinois. So we cover most of Missouri and part of western Illinois. We had a Boonville office at one time, but our MEP engineer retired on us, and we have not reopened an office back here yet. It is our plan to open an office as soon as we find the personnel for it, which is really hard right now. Everybody is looking for people. Like I said, we've been the city engineer for 19 years. We're under a 3-year contract. That contract will expire in November of 22. So we will be looking for renewal of that. First project we ever did was Locust Street. And that was in September of 2002. The most recent project we're working on is those FEMA projects, the flash flooding that was causing a problem. We've done, according to our project numbers, 289 projects for the city. So, some of the most notable projects, we work on your annual pavement repair, the water tank out at the hospital, the booster pump station associated with that, Morgan Street antique lighting and sidewalks, parking lots all over town, and your soccer field. We assist with other departments with their engineering, P&Z. I do all the plan review for developments for P&Z. We assist the fire department in hydrant maps, structural investigations after a fire. We assist administration, as Megan had indicated, with the annexation and so forth. Public Works, obviously, with all the capital improvement projects. That's basically in MECO engineering.
Scott, can you talk maybe for these guys who don't know, like how we get started on a project and how we start from me calling you up to, or you calling me up to a contract coming before the city?
Say that again?
Sort of like when I pick up the phone and say, hey, I want you to look at this, and then they're coming up to vote on a contract, like kind of how we start with me calling you all the way up.
Right. You know, we'll come up, we'll do an investigation of whatever problem. I mean, that's what engineering is. It's solving problems. And that's what we do. So you got a problem, we come up, we take a look at it, we go over it with Jeff, we come up with preliminary design, preliminary indications like we're doing with this FEMA, and preliminary cost estimates. You move forward to final design, and then we go out for plans and specifications and bidding on the project. Then once the bids come in, as you've seen through the bid tabulations and so forth, that's when the construction starts.
And then also, they usually provide all the construction oversight for us, so that's the
Right.
other part. And then they do a final walkthrough, so they kind of really are there from the
start to finish.
the brainstorm to the very end when we close out the project.
Yes, Howard.
So are you and your people the final check off on a project that is safe and we're ready to go? Everything's done, everything's in place, it's
Yes,
you the final check off?
along with the city.
Okay.
And we are always in direct contact. This is a team effort. So when we do the final walkthrough, it would be my team with Jeff. And we'll do the final walkthrough on the project and sign off on the project for final payment to the contractor.
You mentioned, what was the term you used, oversight, I believe was the word. You know, a while back, we talked about doing some kind of performance review or evaluation of the contractor. Is that your responsibility? Or do we actually do a performance evaluation, a formal, not just by mouth, but a formal evaluation of contractors and the type of work that they've
We don't
done?
do any written evaluations.
You don't?
But we do keep track of projects that they have worked on for us in various communities, and so we know their reputation.
Would something like that be helpful in terms, sometimes we're faced with deciding what contract should get what bid and so forth. Wouldn't it be helpful if we had an evaluation of past performance in written form? Would that be helpful, you think?
If that's something the city would like for us to do, we'd be more than happy to do that.
How does the city feel?
I mean, right now, it's not in a written form. The state statutes require you to accept a low bidder because you are a municipality, unless you can prove, as we have in the past, just recently, prove that the contractor is non-responsive or non-responsible. And that's where that written evaluation, you know, if you want to put one together after every project, just realize that we did 289 projects in 19 years. That's almost 10 to 15 projects a year of various items. Some of them aren't construction projects, some of them are just writing an easement, and some of them are you know, other things that the city has asked for. But we can do a formal evaluation on the project. That's an easy task to do.
I think, Albert, too, maybe one thing we could look at doing is, again, you remember the projects normally that don't go well more than the ones that do go well. So I think if there's a point at which a project feels like it has kind of gotten off the tracks and we had to bring it back in, that maybe that would be an opportunity for us to do a more formal evaluation. But, you know, for the ones that are just easy in and out, you know, it might not be, again, necessary, because if you're doing a good job, then we want you to come back.
Yeah, well, I'm just reminded a while back we had an issue where I thought a review of some sort would have really been helpful for us to sort through that and make a decision.
Anything else?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Kind of out of left field, but after watching what happened with Hurricane Ida on the East Coast, do you look at our Midwestern city and the predictions that storms are only going to become more intense over time in terms of flooding, wind damage, that type of thing? Are you looking ahead? Is there planning going on for anything like that, I guess is what I'm asking. I know that's out of
Well,
left
we
field.
know that the frequency is increasing, obviously, and yes, we are incorporating some of that planning into our stormwater facilities that we are doing for the city. We're not just looking at the 25 or 50-year storm anymore. We're looking more towards the 100-year storm. And the pipes that we are sizing for road crossings and so forth, especially since they are getting washed out real quickly now.
Okay.
And so, yes, we are looking further into upsizing pipes to handle better storm frequencies.
Right.
Because that 100-year storm is coming more often than just once every 100 years.
That's good to know. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, appreciate it.
Set dangerous building hearing. It's on page 67.
I just want to point out that the property at 209, I said 3rd Street, and I should have said 10th, so that's my apology, but 209 3rd Street was up on the county's annual tax sale, and it was purchased by a person who we've already had conversations with. They have a 1-year waiting period, so when you buy something on the county steps, you can stabilize it and you can mow the lawn, but you can't tear it down, you can't remodel the kitchen or anything for 1 year. So we've already been in contact, so it's our recommendation to not hold the 209 3rd Street dangerous building hearing because it's been purchased by new owners now, so we're hopeful that they will rehabilitate it in 2022. So we're only looking for a dangerous building hearing on 521 10th Street. And we need a motion.
It says 209.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's another place.
Yeah, here, over
it's
here.
on this one.
Right, yeah,
It's on
209 Street.
209 3rd Street. That's on my memo, I made a mistake. So on page 66 is the error.
So we're looking for a motion on 521 10th Street. That's what we're looking for.
Yep.
Whitney, Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Andrew. Questions, comments?
And that has been, they will not respond on that house?
We have not in the first, after 30 days.
On the 10th Street. Gotcha. Thanks, Steve.
So we're looking at 521.
Roll call.
Calvert,
Yes.
Hurt,
Yes.
Albert,
Yes.
Venable,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Stock,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Okay, I have nothing. City clerk?
Nothing.
Any miscellaneous?
Here. I've been looking forward to this, and I think it's a good report. I have a question about this that maybe, Mr. Mayor, you could, why is it that some council members have voting rights and others do not? Why aren't they all the same? How do you differentiate between the ones that have voting rights and the ones that don't?
That's differentiated in the articles.
What's that?
In the articles, in the laws,
Oh,
how the committees are defined and who's in charge and who gets to vote.
I mean, I guess I'm looking for,
Do you think we're saying you can't have a vote
well,
because
I mean,
we
if
just
you go through
felt
there-
like it? It's not that way. It's based on the articles, what they say. Now, does it make any sense? No? It just is.
You take like, for example, the local agency funding. Before Barry, Mr. Carter was the chairman and he was also the council representative. And he had voting, right?
As a representative.
Teresa would have to answer that. I'm not sure how local agency funding worked.
Well, yeah, I'm just using that as an example. I think the overall question, I still not really understanding why, like fire, for example, no voting. Housing authority, no voting. And some of the other ones, the council has voting rights. And I guess I'm asking, why is that?
Like the mayor said, it is based upon what the ordinances were written at that time. So if you looked at your ordinances, it would actually detail exactly the structure of the board.
Or state statute.
Or city statute, yeah, or state.
Yeah.
And that's fine, I'll accept that as an answer, but I'm still looking for what does the write-up say? Why would that be? That's my question. I understand where it's coming from, that you've made that clear, but my question is, why would I not have a voting right? And
The only answer I can give you is because they said so. I don't, Albert, I have absolutely nothing else that makes, it doesn't have to make any sense. They said so.
I think
When they did the original.
I think on some of the advisory boards, you're really there as the conduit to council, and that obviously at the council level, if an advisory board recommended to change a one-way street or recommended to change pool prices or recommended something from the fire or the police, that you would have your opportunity to vote here as a policy, as a council member. So your job on the advisory board is really to be the conduit to explain how they got the process. But I wasn't there when they wrote that. I'm trying to intune what probably was their intention.
They're probably trying to prevent a double dip, but you've got double dips in there. You've got some where the council member is going to vote in both places, so. Albert, I'm sorry, it doesn't make any sense, it just is.
I just have trouble accepting an answer that says, well, that's just the way it is. That's what somebody told us to do. Whoever told us that should have a rationale and reason why they're making it that way.
I'm not asking you to accept it, by the way.
Okay, moving on. I want to underscore what Andrew said about the numbers in the document. I think that is important. That's the thing that I look for, and I'm very interested in. So I wanted to underscore that. And finally, I'm going to make a comment I guess I've made before, and I'll make it again, I guess, is the chicken deal, okay? I guess I'm wondering, I don't know what the outcome, I think you've had the meeting, I'm not sure of the outcome, but why isn't that, I still don't quite understand, why isn't that an unfinished business item? And you explained to me once but that just seems to me like that would be an unfinished business item to keep it before us.
All right,
So
so
we're gonna hear more on the chicken deal?
I don't have anything to report about chickens. We had a meeting, and that's all I could tell you, so.
all right, what you're doing is suggesting that it be on the agenda as an incomplete item. And you just carry it over on the agenda
Well,
until
yeah, I
we
mean,
bring it
that's
back.
the way I
Is that
think.
what you're saying?
I think that's the way it should work. Anything that's
I don't
not
know why not.
final here is pending, then it should be an unfinished business item, the way I see it.
I think it's a good suggestion.
24 hours if it was.
Well, if it's important, 24 hours, they'll be here, but, well, you can vote no.
Chickens aren't
You can vote no on it. No, I'm just saying, I just think it should be.
Well, the mayor sets the agenda, so you can talk to him about it.
It's my fault, Albert. I'm sorry, man. I'll see if I can do better.
Anyway, I just wanted to get that out there.
Okay.
I said that.
Yeah,
It's-
that's probably a
I don't
good
know, it
point.
just-
We don't want to lose them. We don't want them to go away.
No, we don't. We want to address it. Anyway, thank you.
Anything else miscellaneous? Wait a minute. What, Steve has a miscellaneous item?
I just want to respond to Albert.
On the chicken deal?
No, the other. Sometimes you're just the company spy. Have you ever heard that?
Steve.
Sometimes you're just the company spy. I move we adjourn.
All right, Whitney's moved us to adjourn. Mike, second. Oh, Steve. Everybody get up and leave. Good job, y'all.
That's how you know you can take